Lowlife is currently streaming on Hulu and was recommended to me in a group that I'm in just randomly. I saw it in a top 10 list or whatever, and then I showed it to a bunch of people and in a group that I'm in, and they were like, oh man, I love that movie. So I was like, oh, cool, I gotta check this out. I finally got to it last night, and my God, what a freaking great movie. I loved this flick. Definitely one of the best of the year in my opinion, and probably going to be like, the hidden gem, one of the hidden gems of 2018. Here you go. I mean, a lot of people are asking me, are you going to do a hidden gem video? Well, here's one of the titles that I would probably throw in there, if so, because I don't know anybody that's talking about this flick. Now, I've heard it compared to Quentin Tarantino, and while I understand that, I don't think that that's a good thing to tell people who are going into this, because if you look at the poster of this movie, which you undoubtedly will, I'll probably have as a thumbnail, so you might not be able to avoid it, even if you just clicked on this review and nothing else. But when you look at the poster, there's a guy in a freaking like a Mexican wrestling mask on the poster. And when somebody says Quentin Tarantino and you see that imagery, you think, okay, this is going to be really fun. Like, it's going to be silly, and it's going to be, have a lot of comedy. And while there is comedy in it, and it's definitely darker comedy, it's not Quentin Tarantino type comedy. Yes, Quentin Tarantino has a really good way of blending extremely dark material and making it mostly humorous throughout. This film, on the other hand, is much darker than that. It actually kind of reminds me almost of like, Craig Zietler, is that his name? The guy who did Brawl in Cell Block 99 and Bone Tomahawk and is doing the Dragged Across Concrete coming out. Kind of felt like that. And if you know, Brawl in Cell Block 99 was like one of the best films of last year to me. I thought it was a damn masterpiece. But it almost has that kind of feel. It's very dark. And yes, there's humor there, but it's sparse. And where I think this film excels the most is in its characters. I just dug the shit out of every character. This film is very weird, for sure. So it's not a straightforward, narrative like you would be used to. It's a very weird flick. But man, the characters are extremely strong. It deals with human trafficking, and it deals with obsession and rage issues, anger. It deals with all sorts of really dark shit, man. And I thought that was all really, really well done. Funny at times and bleak and grim as hell. The gore in this movie is probably the best gore I've seen all year. It is hyper realistic. There's an autopsy scene that rivals the one in Saw 4. It looks legitimately real. I was like, oh my God. My brother and I were watching this together, and we were both like, holy shit. Someone's face gets smashed in, someone's head gets blown off. It all looks absolutely real. It is just like, there's people who like realistic gore, and then there's people who would prefer to look more ridiculous because they can't handle the more realistic type stuff. This is some gnarly ass gore. There isn't a ton of it, but when it's there, it is effective and excessive and great stuff, in my opinion. It really amplifies the dread and the tone of this movie. It feels like a comedy on its surface, but it isn't. It's much darker than that. So it's hard to say that this is a comedy because it isn't. And IMDb even has horror in the description, as one of the genres. And yeah, I mean, there's horrific stuff in it. So would I consider it a horror movie? No. but I definitely understand why horror is in there, because there's some horror for sure. Favorite characters, they were all so damn strong. They were all so damn strong. I don't want to say too much about the characters because I want you guys to kind of experience them for yourself. But the guy who owns the taco place, who's like the main villain of the film, he reminded me of Michael Shannon for some reason. Watch the movie and picture Michael Shannon in your head, and you'll know what I'm talking about, I think. And then there's another guy who has a very unsightly tattoo on his face. He reminded me of the singer of Matchbox 20, Rob Thomas, for some reason. But the acting in this movie is solid. The gore is solid. The story's great. The way it all wraps around, that's what I think where a lot of the Quentin Tarantino thing is coming from, because the story is non-linear. It kind of just keeps like moving back on itself, but like it keeps showing events from different angles and how they all come to a head. And I thought that the way all that happened was great, and it all made sense. It was convenient, yes, but it was funny and ironic, and it just kept giving you more morsels of information that you were like, oh, I didn't know that. Oh, shit. Like, now that makes sense why this happened. Good stuff, man. Good, effective storytelling done in a creative, cool way. Yes, we've seen that way done before, but we've seen it done wrong and not well many times. And when it's done effectively, it's done very effectively, like it is here. Yeah. Really cool movie. I highly, highly recommend it if you're into these kinds of flicks. So let me know when you check it out, what you thought, and adios.